wildlife adventures on the Superstation.
Most of Florida's panthers live northwest of Everglades National Park. But the park represents critical wilderness for a variety of other endangered animals.
This is quite a vantage point here, Tom.
Yeah, the tower here that the park has built is a magnificent way to see the vast expanses of the Everglades.
Tom Lodge is an ecologist who's been writing about the Everglades for 2 decades.
White ibis filling the trees, coming in.
Tom's a man after my own heart. There's no better way to get around than this.
This system, gives us water and improves our air quality and does so much for our life. And indeed, is a nursery for ocean fish. How do we get people to understand that?
I think that the point about water that you mentioned really needs to be emphasized. What we had been doing was throwing water away with the design of the flood control system and canals. We just release the excess water to the sea. If we're going to provide for the future people of South Florida, we're going to have to store water for their use. Drinking water, bathing water, all sorts of uses of water.
People in LA, let's say, or the Midwest, New York, might wonder, why should I care about the Everglades? Isn't there a connection between all these species here and what we see there?
Sure is. My example, I grew up outside of Cleveland, Ohio, and my yard backed up to a small community lake. And virtually every summer we had a great blue heron visit. And I now know that the treat of that visit may be owed to the existence of the Everglades, because that very heron may have been born in a rookery in the Everglades. So people who never even visit the Everglades will see benefits of Everglades restoration. Oh, we've got to take a look here. We've got spoonbills feeding along with a large number of great egrets. Yeah, this is incredible.
Tom, tell me why we have this concentration of birds like this.
Well, we've got here, 6 or 7 different kinds of wading birds, and they're all here for food. The water level has receded from water that would have been a foot and a half deep during the height of the rainy season in the summer, and it's coming down now in the dry season. And what that does is that concentrates the fish that grew during the rainy season so that they're becoming available for the birds, which are basically the predators of the ecosystem. We got white ibis, great egret, great blue herons. Most excitedly, though, for me is the fact that we have wood storks.
Like manatees and panthers, wood storks are dramatic symbols of the Everglades destruction. These big endangered birds need 440 pounds of fish for themselves and their young during nesting season. That means they're out shopping all day long. It takes a lot to raise a family, and they depend on the waters of the Everglades.
Wood stork is really dependent on the up and down of the water so that the fish source grows during the summer and then gets concentrated in the dry season, because they feed almost extensively by touch. Herons can see what they're doing. The wood stork probes its beak down into vegetation, even into the mud, and feels for things. And that style of feeding requires a high concentration of fish. It's like you going out there and reaching down until you feel something and then grabbing it.
Once wood storks